Dayfri, it's been real, man. We've had a long journey, and it's cool to be able to see our journeys and the success in which has been attributed to the hard work and dedication. This was the moment in which I've been waiting for, to talk to you about your experiences, but most importantly, give a perspective to the community about what your challenges are, what keeps you going, how did you get into the industry of esports, what makes you so competitive, where did it stem from, and then your experiences in the NBA 2K League itself. For the individuals that are out there, this is Dayfri, a 2020 champion, right? And I'm gonna let him explain a little bit more about who he is, where he come from, and then we'll get into the questions. Dayfri.
Yeah, so I'm Ryan Conger. I'm from Dallas, or I guess I'm from Palmer, Texas, not from Dallas. I got into 2K, I guess, probably about 4 years ago. And, you know, you were one of the first guys to reach out to do a LAN event, one of the first guys I've probably talked to get into competitive 2K. So I've always had a lot of respect for you. Obviously, I love your new place.
Yeah.
Definitely a big step up from where we were.
I know, right?
But I think, you know, it's cool to see how far we've came. And
yes.
It's definitely cool to now sit down and talk to you and kind of go over, you know, some of the stuff we've been over, you know, in the past 4 years. So
yeah, for sure.
Definitely happy to be here, and I'm definitely excited to talk to you.
Yes, for sure. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. When you first started to pick up NBA 2K, you know, what was that experience like, and why? Why even 2K?
I probably picked up 2K, when did I pick up 2K? Oh, it was Black Friday. It was 2016, I believe. And actually, one of your guys here, Nacho, was one of the first guys to put me on. I had another friend named Marcus. He had the system, and he had 2K. He's the reason I bought it, because I was playing it at his house, and I was like, man, this game's kind of fun, man. And I was still playing college baseball at the time. It was kind of just like a getaway thing, you know, where I didn't have to go party or nothing like that. I would just go play the game. And then I started playing online and stuff, and Nacho was like the first guy that I actually played with like competitively. And Nacho kind of showed me the ropes on like how to play the game. And you know, basically we qualified for that $250,000 tournament in 17. We were the first seed, make it happen. I had a baseball game the day of the game. I had Nacho, my guy. He drove up, played on my account for $250,000. A lot to ask from somebody.
Yeah.
But then I ended up tearing my ACL about 2 months later at baseball, like at a baseball game in West Texas, and I was just doing rehab on my knee, and I was just playing the game. And they announced the league, I think, probably 2 months after that. It was during the summer. And I told my parents, you know, I'm probably just going to try to do this. And, you know, here we are. Like I said, it's one of those things, man. You just kind of, you went a different direction, and you probably didn't know where it was going to go, and I'm glad I wrote it out. You know,
Perfect. So what correlates traditional sports to that of esports for you? What was the same?
The biggest thing that correlates is probably the team chemistry aspect. Yeah. Everybody has to be on the same page, even if it's baseball, football, basketball, real basketball. You know, in 2K it's the same way. You're dealing with 5 other guys. You're dealing with people. Dealing with people that, you know, maybe don't see stuff the way you see it, and you got to find a happy medium. You got to find a way to make sure everybody's at ease, and you got to find a way to just make sure everybody's on the same page. And, you know, I think we did that this year, and that's why we ended up being champions. So
perfect. So for that student that is looking at traditional basketball and they saying, man, I may not be as good to go pro. Typically in geographic locations like this, it's always pushed to go pro in basketball, baseball, football.
Always a sport, something like that. Yeah.
In some type of sport, right? Sometimes we quickly identify that, man, we may not have the talent to be able to go to the top of the top. And if we do not feel as if like it, we still are pushing every single day. With esports, there's an element where there's no physical limitations there, right? It's really a mental game. And so what advice would you give that student that says, man, I may have a good shot at gaming, but I may not have the support as I would for traditional sports?
So I kind of went through the same thing. You know, for anybody that's trying to get into gaming and you don't have the support system. Originally, when I told my parents I was going to try for this, my dad was not going. He did not want no parts of it. He wanted me to go back and play baseball. The biggest thing I could say, man, you know, still try to balance your responsibilities. If it's school, if it's work, whatever it is, still balance it, but make time for it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's a profession at the end of the day. It's something you can master. And, you know, I think, you know, being a professional in anything, I think is a big accomplishment. And I think it's definitely something that you should be proud of. And if I were to tell anybody, you know, I feel like you don't drop everything, you know, and go after it. Obviously, you can't put all your eggs in one basket, but I think you know, you can definitely find time for it and find a way to balance everything and definitely still make an attempt at it. And I think especially if you have the ability, if you have the talent to do so, even if you don't have the support system, because I didn't have it originally either. Yeah. I think you just kind of stay the course, man. And if it works out for you, you know, it works out for you, man.
Perfect.
That's all it is.
So, you know, one of the things that I easily recognized in the 2K community is that I would say a good 80% of individuals, I would find them going to work, taking care of their responsibilities, and playing till 10 o'clock p.m. to 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, explain that dedication.
It definitely ain't easy.
Yeah.
I think you know, when you first start getting into gaming, and you know, especially if I was still going to school, I was still like doing rehab, I was helping my dad around the house, whatever. You know, you still have that goal in your mind. You want to be a professional. You want to play for the big money. You want to be, you know, a part of something bigger than you. You know, you want to, like, especially if the NBA, you know, the people that run the thing, it's the NBA. So it's like, I mean, you want to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? I want to be a part of the Mavs, the Wizards, you know? Yeah. It's like, there's no, like that's the next best thing from not being pro. You know what I'm saying? From like an actual sport. So I think, you know, the dedication is definitely something different. I'm not gonna lie, because I helped build a fence in my dad's backyard. I helped build a shop, and my dad was like, you know, he's throwing everything at me to make sure, you know, oh, you got to make sure you want it, you know, type thing. And, you know, sure enough, you know, I end up doing it. But, oh, man, it definitely, it's not easy, you know. But in anything, it's not going to be easy. So, you know, I think it's just worth it. If you do get on top of that mountain, it's worth it. It's most definitely worth it.
That's dope to be able to hear. And so most individuals compete online in 2K. Some individuals in different geographic locations and also genres of esports, they typically will compete in LAN centers. They'll travel to different tournaments and live. But you really didn't see that element in 2K. Everybody played online. Mm-hmm. So when we recognized that, there was an element of going live events. And it was easily distinguishable to say this is the difference between a live event and an online event. Can you kind of speak on those differences for the community?
So actually, my first, I guess, LAN event was with you. Yeah. We did like a little weekend thing. I think it was an overnight thing. Mm-hmm. I think 2K was just about to drop.
Yes.
It was really dope. I thought it kind of showed you who's probably been in front of a crowd before and played. You know, even if we didn't have a huge crowd, it was still in person. You still got to see those people when you're playing them. I just think the LAN events kind of show, you know, if you're going to be nervous, you know, if you're going to, how you're going to play in front of people. You know, I think it's probably the best way to get ready for an actual esport, because 90% of esports, like you said, they're in person. You know, there are LAN events, you know, stuff like that. And I feel like you got to be able to compete in front of people, in front of viewers. You know, you got to be able to, you know, play the same way, you know, you do at home. Yeah. And like, cause at home, you know, you're in your comfort zone. You know, you laid up, you're in your pajamas. You know, you're under your blanket. You know what I'm saying? You're feeling good.
You're feeling good.
But like when you got eyes on you, got cameras on you, you know, got all this production team around you, got all these lights on you. You know, all that stuff plays a factor, man. And especially when you throw a little bit of money involved, like, you know, you get everything else that starts playing a factor too. I mean, like I said, that's when you can really see who's really built for it. Exactly. You know, and I think, you know, LAN events definitely are needed for 2K, for definitely to take our next step to being, you know, a bigger esport. Yeah. So for what you've been doing, and you know what you've been doing for the past, you know, 4 years now, it's definitely been beneficial for the league and beneficial for guys like me.
Yeah, man. Because that was one of the first things that we recognized, is that when an individual comes in and compete in a live setting, that takes another element for the benefit of a coach or a GM, you know, to be able to see them playing online is great, because you get to focus on skill set. You get to see a skill of an individual. When it comes down to that same individual being on a large stage as a coach and GM, you want to know if they're built for it, if they can handle that type of pressure. How they're going to react to certain things. How they're going to react, man. How is it going to react when I'm looking at you compete and you're talking all kind of stuff and videos and engaging and you're trying to get in someone's head? That's an element that a coach needs to understand, because that can be used in the heatest battle when you're trying to get an edge over the next team and you're trying to win that 1.2, 1.4, and on up in millions of dollars. That is very critical. So that purpose of that space was to showcase that, but most importantly, just to have a place where a community can engage and have fun. I know, you know, I always seen it in FGC. It was traveling all over the time just to engage with individuals. Even after the person may have lost the event, it's still a good camaraderie event. And that was something that was critical. So we really wanted to bring that to the actual DFW. And we didn't see a lot of people doing it all around the nation. So we were just like, if we can create it, individuals can mimic it, so we can grow the NBA 2K community as a whole. And at that point, we recognized, like, man, we were like, it's a league. Then the 2K league announced, right? And so it was like, oh, snap, this is something. This is really going to be something. So to see you guys, Reed, yourself, J Money, everybody, seeing that opportunity and a draft transfer, and then you got drafted as the first one. Like, what was that experience like?
Oh man, the draft was stressful.
Yeah.
Like I really didn't know where I was gonna go. Leading up to it, I knew I was prepared well. We played in the dungeon. We played. I played plenty of LAN events. I knew some of the guys in the area. I started to get a better feel of the community. So going in, I was confident, obviously, and I knew I was gonna be good in the league. I just didn't know where I was gonna go.
Yes.
So going into the league, or going into the draft, I should say, it was like Cleveland told me the day before, hey man, we're taking you at 19.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, I'm about to go live in Cleveland. Like I've never been out the state before. Lived out of the state anyway, and so I was like, okay. I mean, that's it's something in my life that I'm gonna have to go through. And then they didn't take me. And then I remember Jonah told me before the draft, he's like, hey man, if you're there at our second pick, you're staying home.
Yeah.
And I remember about 6 or 7 picks away from the Mavs pick, he calls me. He's like, all right, I'm just letting you know you are coming here. I'm not gonna tell you you're coming here. So. Obviously, I was super ecstatic. I was a huge Mavs fan growing up, a huge Dirk fan. How could you not be?
Yeah.
The 2011 run, I think. Yeah. So how could you not be a Mavs fan?
Yeah.
Especially from this area. So first year, get drafted by my hometown team.
Yes.
I was on top of the world. And then obviously stuff didn't work out how it was supposed to. But at the end of the day, it was still a great opportunity, and I got to represent my hometown team.
Perfect, man. And then after the identified, when you were competing in the live stage, when you got drafted and you were representing your team, what was some things that you experienced that you didn't think that you were experienced when it came down to specifically gameplay? Like, what was the builds? How are they different than what a lot of the community call retail?
Okay. So the builds in the league, the difference mainly is just they're lower overall. You don't have all the souped up badges. You don't have tendencies. Your guys are, everybody's on the same playing field. Because say my build's not done at retail, but I still load up for a tournament, and your guys are 99, my guys are 93. You're obviously at an advantage.
Yeah.
In the league, they ain't no ground up builds. They got the preset for you, waiting on you, and if you can't compete, you're not playing. It is what it is. You're gonna have your one and done. You're out of there. So I feel like the biggest thing from retail to the league, it's definitely way more competitive in the fact of everybody's on the same playing field.
Yes.
There's no tendencies. There's no 99.9. There's nothing. There's no extra. Everybody's a 92 overall. You get a limited amount of badges. You can't just stack up on badges. You can't have legend accounts. Stuff like that. All that stuff plays a factor in retail because if you grind the game more than the other guy, your player's gonna be better. Perfect. So definitely in the league, that was probably the coolest dynamic, I guess I could say, is you see everybody come in from having all these crazy builds in retail and how they played, and then you see them play everybody's the same, and it's like oh, okay, he's not really that good. So that's probably the coolest thing is just the difference, having the level playing field and just competing, most definitely.
Perfect. Let's talk about the traveling and the intensive schedule that you guys had every week and during tournaments. How did that weigh on your competitive level, or how did that give an advantage to you versus anybody else?
I think travel is definitely weighs on West Coast teams a lot.
Yeah.
You got 5-6 hour flights every day, or not every day, but every week, and then you basically are switching time zones always. And it's definitely not fun. But I think when I went to DC and I was, we took a train instead of getting on the plane and whatever. We took a train basically to New York. Definitely was way better. Not having to go through security every week. Don't have to deal with that stuff. You don't have to get stopped if I feel like it definitely matters. Because you have some of the West Coast teams that I feel like if they lose a couple of games in a row, they're done. What I'm saying? They don't want to be there, and all that travel and stuff it's just another factor that they're going to use it as an excuse.
Exactly.
And so the travel definitely is a mental thing. You definitely especially if you can't go home, whatever, and you're just travel to New York, go to New York. It's definitely one of those things that you got to just stay the course.
For sure.
That's probably the biggest thing I could probably say from that.
Would you say overall, you've been able to go from grassroots to pro, to stick in the league for this amount of years, right? You've been in there season 1, season 2, season 3. Do you have any regrets?
My biggest regret probably was season 1, not talking to Dimes. I feel like we had the team to win it that year too. I feel like, and that's why I think it was so much urgency this year. When we seen our team and how good it was, I think I wasn't going to let us just do what we did in season 1.
Yeah.
I feel like that was probably my biggest regret, but obviously everything happens for a reason. I think we both became better players because of it. And I think everybody, it all worked out how it was supposed to. But probably that was the biggest one. Just not reaching out, not putting our differences aside and just going to win one. You know what I'm saying? Because we definitely had the team for it, and we just didn't care.
So that tells you how dynamic team building and team camaraderie is, and it's clear that you've been able to learn that lesson. And I would definitely encourage any individual from the aspiring scene, if you're loving 2K, as we may not explain, it's 5 individuals on a team, and you have to find those individuals to give you the best opportunity to showcase your skills, and the best opportunity to showcase your skills can lead to capital. It can lead to landing on organizations. So teamwork, camaraderie, leadership, all of those skill sets are very critical in order to be successful in any type of league or any endeavor that you are partaking in. And so as you started to learn this dynamic going 4-in with the Wizards, and you started to recognize, like, man, we got a really good team, and then boom, you guys are in a position to where you're competing against a team that has not lost. What was that experience like?
Oh, the Raptors, man, the Raptors, the 16-0 Raptors, the big bad Wolves, man. We played the Raptors let me back up. We played them in our preseason tournament. The Hornets hosted a preseason tournament. It was only 16 teams, and we played them first round, and we beat them. We beat them 2-1, but this was before the Raptors were the big bad Raptors, so nobody knew who they were yet. So we beat them, and I remember we ended up winning that tournament, the preseason tournament. It was for no money, but it was like it was a little competitive tournament for the league, whatever. And I remember after I told everybody on my team, I said the best team we played was that Raptors team. I said they had the best defense. I said Kenny was good. I think we just played better. And they were like, oh, no, it was this team. I was like, okay. Well, we played them first week. We got our schedule, got Raptors, first game of the season. I was like, all right, we're going to see what they're about. You know what I'm saying? We're going to see what everybody's talking about. And, I mean, we pushed them to game 3 in our first meeting. We were up 11 in game 2, and we ended up losing. I think we played them again in the turn finals. They ended up sweeping us there, but we only lost, I think, by a combined, 7 points probably. Okay. And then, so going into the last, I guess the last part of the season, we kind of started seeing how the seeding was going to be. We kind of seen who we were going to have to play. And I was actually more nervous to play the Kings than I was the Raptors, honestly. Because we've seen the Raptors so many times. I felt like we knew what they were about. And I feel like the Raptors were one of those teams that didn't get better. They just stayed at the same level because they were that good. The level they were playing at was that good. They didn't have to get better. And, but we knew that we could be better than them. We just we just waited. I remember I did a podcast after after the turn finals, and somebody asked me, they were like, well, why are you so confident playing the Raptors again? I said, I promise you, we play them in the playoffs. It's going to be different. And because we were a young team, we played them in the turn finals. We made a lot of mistakes down the stretch that I knew for the big money we wouldn't make. And sure enough, we get our chance again. We knock off the 16-0 Raptors, probably the craziest series of the year. Nobody's seen it coming. The Raptors never even lost. I think they lost 3 games total just in series. Not even a series, but lost just 3 total all year. And we swept them. They didn't even win a game against us. And I'm not gonna lie, it was crazy. I'm not gonna lie, because they had Kenny. Kenny was
a beast.
I mean, undoubtedly the best player in the league.
Yes.
I mean, this guy was insane. You had Cook, best defensive player. Sick was still good. I mean, their team was just good.
Exactly.
And going into the game, I told Nacho, I was in a party with Nacho. We were playing like Fall Guys or something. I don't know. We were playing something. And I was like, Nach, man, I'm telling you, we play the Raptors, man. It's ours. I said, I'm telling you right now, we get a chance at them. We're going to take care of business. And
perfect.
We beat the Kings, and then the next day, it was right after. It was boom, boom. And then we played it. We didn't really have no time to prepare for them because we were preparing for the Kings. So, which I think in hindsight was a low-key a blessing because we didn't overthink anything. We stuck to our game plan. We just played our brand of basketball.
For sure.
We ended up beating that team, and oh, man, what a crazy feeling. What a crazy feeling.
So do you find that, have you got has it sunk in yet?
I don't think it's sunk in just yet. Obviously, it's cool, seeing all the clips, seeing, obviously we're about to get rings, stuff like that. You win the big money. I don't think it's, hit me yet. But at the same time, man, it's still a crazy accomplishment. All my family hitting me up, calling me, my boys that I haven't talked to in years, they send me pictures. They're at a bar, and I'm on TV, you know what I'm saying? Because, it's on ESPN too. So, that part is definitely real. It feels like it's crazy to feel that type of support from your hometown and stuff like that. But I don't know if it's hit me yet. I just think it's just we did the unthinkable. You know what I'm saying? We beat the we're basically the 2007 Giants that beat the 16-0 Patriots. You know what I'm
sure.
saying? It was something that nobody seen coming, and we did it, man. It was so
Exactly.
crazy. It was such a crazy feeling.
Man, I'm incredibly proud of the accomplishment to be able to see that in the full circle element. I really want to be able to say, what is next for you? What's the next thing that you've been thinking about, engaging with? What's something that you say, hey, I got my stamp right now with a championship. What's next in esports, or is it even esports?
Biggest thing for me, I want to open up my first business. I want to open a rec center.
Perfect.
Back home. I want to do something like that for like our community. That's going to be a couple years down the road. I'm in a good spot for it, but you know, obviously what's going on in the world right now, it's probably not a good time. So I want to do something like that eventually for my community, but also for the esports side. I think you know, start hosting LAN events with you.
Perfect.
I think we've talked about it already.
Yes,
We've definitely been in talks about it. I think, you know, just giving back to the community, man. Like coming up here and just having events. You know, giving back to the local guys. You know, the guys that support us no matter what. You know, and guys that we knew back in the dungeon days. You know, same guys used to come up there 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. We leaving, playing the game,
man.
Playing the game all night. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think giving back to those guys especially, and then, you know, I think esports wise, obviously, I want to, you know, for my own personal brand, I want to do my own podcast. Kind of have like talk to, you know, league players. You know, talk to these guys. You know, pick their brains over their season. You know, how you doing with me right now? Kind of do the same thing. You know, and I think, you know, that's probably the biggest disconnect. I think is the fans don't really know these players, especially in the league even. You know, they only know a handful. Like, so I feel like if we could start getting that outreach to the fans, getting them to connect with, you know, with these players, you know, have people they actually like and they can relate to. I think that's the biggest thing, and I think that's our next biggest step for our community. That's the biggest thing.
It's the biggest thing, man.
It's just getting the connection, and then once we do that, man, the sky's the limit for this league.
Exactly, man. And I think you know, early on in the league, I think a lot of the players in the 2K League relied on the NBA to outreach to the traditional players to drive engagement and traction. But ultimately, as you're speaking right now, you know, you're able to say, man, it's on us to have a story and have a dialogue with the community. That was one of the biggest reasons why it was critical to build these spaces to allow the community to come together. And now to see that you're willing to come and engage and have these dialogues and then, you know, start to work to build events just shows how genuine you are for the community, and the community members love that fact to the point to where they're like, man, if anything, if I'm not getting anything, I'm getting knowledge. I'm having a community. I'm doing some.
It's fun.
It's a fun event.
Everybody gets to meet each other. You know, say compete, play some 2K. What we all love to do anyway. You know
what you always like to do. You know, and that in itself, I look at every single day. I see the FGC or the other communities. I'm like, dog, the 2K community can be there. Sports games communities can be there. And that's an everyday process to make sure that happens. And I think collectively we've done such a good job to showcase the viability of it. And now once we're able to do events like this, people are like, wow, let's go and support too. And then you're going to see a full trajectory of growth, you know, that's coming from that. So I'm supremely appreciative of you being able to come out and share this dialogue. One of the things is, you know, we're in an area where we got almost 6 local ISDs, including yours as well. And to the point to where we really can be able to talk to the youth about the benefits of esports, professional gaming. But a lot of what we're seeing right now, it's full circle with you, right? You started as a gamer, a competitive gamer, professional gamer, and now you have capital. You have the means to say, all right, let's go and multiply that capital and also provide opportunities for the youth. And when you think about that, you are now going to have a career, quote unquote, event coordinator, quote unquote, team owner, quote unquote, facility manager, quote unquote, facility owner. You have all these titles in the world of esports now. And people need to know that it's just not about professional gaming. It can go full circle, and you now can be able to solidify yourself as a legend in this space right now. So I'm supremely appreciative of you just taking this time. You know, I'm not, how would I say it? I'm not starstruck because I know you, but I'm also like, dude, like he's here, you know, and engaging. And I think that's an awesome opportunity. And we got to keep doing this. We got to keep engaging in dialogue, and we got to bring everybody that was part of the community that is being able to engage with the NBA 2K League in some type of capacity and allow us to keep this going on. So, Dayfri, I'm supremely appreciative of you being able to come and talk to us.
Yeah, Danny, I think, you know, from the very beginning, you were one of the first guys that reached out to me. I think I was your first guy you reached out to when we started the dungeon. So I've always respected, you know, the hell out of you. I think you've always been one of those guys that was always straight up with me and, you know, never sugarcoated anything and kind of showed me your vision. And I told you from the get-go, I was like, man, you make it work, man. Like I said, I promise I'll get back when it's time. And like everything worked out how it was supposed to. And here we are,
bro,
man.
look at this, dude.
It worked out how it was supposed to. So like I said, I appreciate you as much as you appreciate me. So thank you, man, honestly.
No problem.